We're on a little bit of cold streak here on Doubling Down with Colin Sheehan. We keep getting 1 out of 2. Let's change that this week as we head to Gulfstream Park. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Trust the Profits YouTube page. My name is Colin Sheehan. This is Doubling Down, where we put together a daily double ticket, and I'm so excited to be joined by this week's guest, Alfredo Alfonso. How are you today?
Thanks for having me, Colin. Well, we are doing well, preparing for this exciting week of racing at Gulfstream Park that started already today.
Yes, and I know you are part of the Spanish broadcast team at Gulfstream Park, so we went with a little bit of an insider, so hopefully you can help us get home this
Y-
daily double.
Yes. I am used to do this, but in Spanish, so it's going to be a little bit challenging for me, but I will do my best.
That's okay. We welcome every voice out there. We want to hear how different people approach different races, so that is perfectly fine, and we will do okay with that. I love to bring up standings. Our guests, as you can see, Alfredo, are not very good, so you don't have to worry about your ticket structure because aside from El Hombre at Trust the Profits, everybody's been in the red, and that's my problem. So that's why I keep trying to find new guests to find winners, and even myself, I was up around the $55 mark. We've gone on a little bit of a cold streak here. We are going to break that this week, though, as we head to Gulfstream Park. Before we get into the last two races of the late daily double, it's just a great card. And the Fountain of Youth really starts to spark that enthusiasm for the Derby preps in Florida, huh?
Yes, it's a very tough race. Some great winners came from the Fountain of Youth, and usually this car is returning very well for every bet, exotics or multi-race. So it's a good try to hit a good ticket at Gulfstream Park, especially the last weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Do you play the daily double on your own?
To tell you the truth, I prefer the pick four earlier or late pick four. I prefer the pick fours, but daily double is interesting, especially this one.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because as we get into it, I will be very honest that I am very tepid. I'm feeling very, back and forth on this week's ticket. This was a hard race, and mostly because of race 13. And then when you get to race 14, you have Forte coming off the shelf. It's, are you going to play against Forte or are you going to use him? And if you use him, I usually tend to feel like you would have to single him. But before we even get to the Fountain of Youth, this race 13 to me was really tricky. A field of 12 with an also entered number 13. They're going 1.3 miles on the turf. This is a grade 2 race with 5 of the horses in this field returning from the grade 3 McKnight, which was at Gulfstream Park on January 28th. You also have a couple returning from the grade 2 Red Smith, which was at Aqueduct. And you even have Masterpiece returning from the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. And the rest of them have been running at optional claimer, at least their last time out. So the names you certainly recognize, even if you're semi paying attention to horse racing, Value Proposition, Masterpiece, Henley's Joy, Value Engineering. As soon as I looked at the field, they're all names that you recognize. But then when you start going through the PPs, I certainly had trouble narrowing it down. How about yourself, and where did you end up?
Well, it's a very tough race, especially with these horses. Maybe they are not at the fit level. Um, in the case of Masterpiece, I like him in the Pegasus turf, and he didn't run at all. So hopefully this race, Safi Joseph, you don't have seen, crank it for this race, but it's a very tough race because if you check every participant of this race, they are not winning in the last time out.
Yeah.
They are
Yep.
finishing on except Astronaut, but Astronaut ran on November, so these horses are not winning. So it's very tough to pick a top pick here, and also to prepare a ticket is very tough. I have 5 horses in my ticket.
Yeah, and I have Astronaut on my ticket because I actually thought the exact same thing that you said, which was you have a lot of horses that just don't really win a lot, and what do you do with them? I put Astronaut on top as my number 1 pick. This is the number 7. He is running back from that grade 2 Red Smith. What I do like is that he showed some early speed in that race. In a race here, I don't feel like there's a ton of early speed. The real early speed maybe is the 11 on the way outside. And from a pace perspective, I kind of wanted the horses that are going to be near the front. And Astronaut certainly showed that last time out. I like that Louis Saez is aboard Astronaut instead of the 11 Aban. This is a two-time Grade 2 winner, but the last two races have been in the new barn of Thomas Albertrani. So you have a jockey change and a trainer change, at least over the last two races. And this horse has certainly shown something that he hadn't shown previously, even though he did have a Grade 2 win in the Del Mar Handicap. So for me, I decided to go with Astronaut on top. I did use two other horses, but I'll let you talk about some of those other ones that you used.
Yes, well, in the case of Astronaut, I was thinking to use him as well, but he has a characteristic that I don't like is if you check his past performances, when he is coming from a layoff, he's not running well. Every time that he does that, he's not running well. But as you said, he changed trainer. Maybe he's improving this opportunity, but I don't know. When this horse is coming for layoff, he's not running well. So I pick a highest honor because Chad Brown is very effective when he returned from a layoff. He's 21%. And he's coming for an excellent second. He has only one try at Goshen and he won that race. And that is very good. Irad Ortiz is running him, and Irad is on fire, in complete fire. He won 4 races today. So I think the number one is the top pick for me in this race.
And number one was my second pick, so we're at least in line there. This horse is 11 for 16 in the money, so you're going to get an honest effort from highest honors. Usually he's off the pace, but he's also run well when he's close to the front. And again, I said I'm hoping that the horses that are kind of on the front end of this race will be the ones that carry it. The other thing that I liked is this is a long race. They're going a mile and 3/8. This horse has been running in a mile and a half, so one of the few horses that have actually kind of cutting back, if you will. Last time out actually ran at the same distance and was second to the previous horse I talked about, which was Astronaut. I believe you also had number 10. I'm going to pull up your ticket here so that people can see it. You had the 10 Value Engineering, as did I. What did you like about Value Engineering?
Well, value engineering, what I like is a horse that is going to run close to the lead, and that is very important in this race because I'm not seeing too much horses closing in the final part of the race. Jose Luis Ortiz is riding again, and Mike Maker is a very good trainer in this kind of race. A particular Goshen, he's winning frequently this stake with his horses, and that is the reason that I have another horse of him in my ticket. But value engineering is running good. He finished second from Red Knight in his last opportunity, and I think is a horse that you consider has a possible good bet.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of the same angle on Astronaut. Value Engineering was claimed from the Chad Brown barn 2-back by Michael Maker, and the two races in the Michael Maker barn have been effective. He showed a really long sustained run last time, and the speed figures have improved, especially that last time out on January 28th in the William McKnight Grade 3 at Gulfstream Park. The other horse that you used the 6 and the 12. Why don't you let us know what you like about them?
Yes, well, Bivas Boy, he was coming from a layoff last time out, and he was running at a distance that is not his distance. So I and that moment that I saw that horse that day, I thought this horse is getting prepared for all the race with this race, and he finished fourth. Now he's going to a distance that fits better for him, and he's 1 for 2 at Goshen Park. I think he's the long shot for me in this race. He's going to run a big one, and maybe he's going to upset the race. And the number 12, what is the other one? I miss it.
12, Wicked Fast.
Wicked Fast. Okay, Wicked Fast was running very well in his last race. Previously, he finished second behind the Value Engineering. I think the distance maybe is going to be an issue because he's better maybe in a shorter distance. But Michael Maker, as I said before, he has several horses in this race, and he's looking to win this one.
Absolutely. And I'm from Boston, so the Wicked is certainly something that I am familiar with. Now, both you and I, Alfredo, at least consult Equine Edge. Certainly, I've to see how they feel, and we chatted about that before we started. And Equine Edge did have highest honors on top, with I believe you said 21% or 26%. But that tells you that's a pretty tepid number one choice, right? You know, when you're in the low 20s, it's not overly. It just gives you the sense that the race is sort of wide open. You could go in multiple areas.
Yes, as you're saying, it's not good enough to guarantee a victory.
Yes.
And what is funny here is in the pace perspective, Astronaut is not the fastest horse of the race. So
Okay.
accordingly to according to Equinage, Avan, but Avan is not in his best moment. But value proposition the number three are faster. So maybe Astronaut is going to have some company at the beginning of the race. And from the genetic point of view, Astronaut is the top horse. So
Okay.
the number I am taking the risk of leaving him out, but I'm thinking of the layout. I don't that layoff. I don't like it.
Yeah, very good. So Alfredo goes 1, 2, 6, 10, 12, and I go 1, 7, 10. So we move on to, the marquee event on Saturday, which is your Fountain of Youth Stakes. This race is worth 50 points to the winner for the road to the Kentucky Derby. It's a grade 2 going 1 mile and a 16 on the dirt. We have a field of 10. And as I mentioned, we have the highly anticipated return of number 4 Forte out for Todd Pletcher. He's really the last big name that we are waiting for the 3-year-old debut. If you follow me, you know my big. I'm anticipating Loggins, but we know he's off the field. He's been my dear heart. But so Forte is the one that we are interested in seeing back in this race, and you have to decide what you think about Forte coming off the shelf. You were at the track at Gulfstream, and what did you see in Forte from looking at him recently?
Well, he is working fantastically for the race, and he looks amazing. Also, he was a schooling today, and he looked like a beast. That is the truth. And to be sincere, I don't like Violence Stallion. I don't like the progeny of Violence, but this horse is different. According to Equanesh, the GSR of this horse is 96 at the distance. Is very high. I was amazed when I saw the numbers. Say, wow, it's the first time that I see a Violence progeny reaching this number in the genetic side. So Forte looks very good, but he's not running from since the Breeders' Cup. But in the positive side, I don't remember Todd Pletcher having a strong contender for the Fountain of Youth like Forte, because when Always Dreaming won the Florida Derby, he was running allowance. He was running minor races before the Florida Derby. But I don't remember Todd Pletcher having a strong contender like Forte here at Gulfstream Park at least in the last 5 years. So I think that is meaningful because, as you know, Todd Pletcher is a very dominant trainer here. Before the Safi Joseph era, he was dominating this track.
Yeah, and so look, Forte is the most likely winner to me, but I'm going to take a shot and leave him off my ticket because my approach to daily doubles is when you have a horse like Forte, you either single in this leg and, maybe you spread a little bit longer in the race, which we just talked about, which is more wide open, or you take a shot against him. Now, if you watched the show 2 weeks ago, I talked about Who's Your Filly, and that was the exact decision I decided to make was single Who's Your Filly. But I said the other option would be to go with Pretty Mischievous and Miracle. Well, Who's Your Filly didn't show up. Angel of Empire came through, and that double paid $181. Hey, that's horse racing. You can always look back 2020, right? So this week, I'm going to decide to use my strategy that I didn't use 2 weeks ago, and that pretty much will put Forte in the winner's circle. So you don't need to do any more research, but I will digress. Now, I'm interested to know, because we both have this number 7 Mage on our ticket. This number 7 has only raced one time, and that was January 28th at Gulfstream Park. Went out to the lead and ran that 7 furlong race in 1:22, which was actually as fast as Forte in the hopeful. So I think we're betting on a little bit of what, was that just a really impressive debut and now is going to take a step back, or there's always that hope that maybe this horse can take another step forward. And if this horse takes another step forward, at least from a Brisnet speed figure standpoint, 101 earned in that maiden debut would certainly put this horse there. Does the horse like the distance? I'm not sure. Maybe if you have equine edge, you can tell us the GSR on number 7 Mage. And while you look that up, I will say that one connection to the dam on Mage. I live 1 mile from Suffolk Downs outside Boston. The dam's last win was actually at Suffolk Downs, and not many times I get to see that. So I always like to drop that in here on that horse Puka, who was out of Big Brown. What does Mage look like from a GSR standpoint?
Well, from the GSR standpoint, in 7 furlong, he had 73. Now he's going to 82
Oh, good.
in this race. So he's going up. Well, Good Magic was a horse. He was a son of Carlin, if I remember well. So I think Mage. I was shooting a video from the winner's circle when he won that race, and it was amazing the way he won that race. He won easily, very easily. And let me tell you, Gustavo Delgado, his trainer, he was a very good trainer at Venezuela, and he's not winning with first starters. He's not winning with first starters because usually in the second or first start he improved the horse. So I don't know if that sounds good to you, but
it does.
I think this horse is going to run very well. I don't know if he's good enough to beat Forte, but he's very good.
Yeah, like I said on me and Matt DeSantis' preview on Sunday night of the Fountain and Youth, I said the Fountain of Youth is not the goal for Forte. This is the goal for Forte is the Kentucky Derby. So, this is the first time back since the Breeders' Cup. Look, Forte is probably, I'd be willing to say Forte is probably the best horse in this field. But if there's a time you're going to take a shot against Forte, for me, it's this race where it's first time back. I've talked many times on Twitter about the winners of Breeders' Cup races first time back at Overbet, and they do not do as well as you would think they would. So I'm using that angle as well. But I know that you have to be okay to lose in this game, and you have to be okay saying, if Forte comes right off the bench, and we've talked at least on some of these shows that maybe the 3-year-old is a very muddied field of 3-year-olds right now for the Kentucky Derby, and you have Arabian Night and Forte who are kind of your standouts. And if Forte just shows that he is that standout, then that's okay. And my ticket's only $6, so you can't call me and complain. You just can't get your coffee at Starbucks tomorrow. The other horse you use, which I'm interested into hearing about, is Blazing Sevens, because I am not high on Blazing Sevens. What are you intrigued about by Blazing Sevens?
Well, Blazing Sevens is a horse that is usually coming from behind, and there is a lot of speed in this race. We have Legacy Isle, the number 2, Mage, that we mentioned before, Dangerous Ride, the number 10. I think General Gene is going to run close to the lead, so I think Blazing Sevens will have a shot trying to close and upset Forte. So that is the reason I'm using him. To tell you the truth, I didn't like the Holy Bull. That is the reason that I am not using Rocket Khan or Shadow Dragon. I didn't like that race. That race for me was not good.
Yeah, and I picked Rocket Can as well. I was a fan of Rocket Can. I had Rocket Can in the Holy Bull. I've kind of started to believe the same way you do, but two back at that 2-year-old day at Churchill Downs, Rocket Can lost the confidence game, and there's a little bit of me playing that, well, this horse beat this horse, and what we saw from confidence game just last weekend was mighty impressive. And this horse also lost to Instant Coffee. That was at 7 furlongs in Saratoga. I know that was over the summer. Lost to Disarm. The last 3 speed figures have kind of been a little bit right in the same area. So I'm kind of wondering, has this horse hit its peak and a step back is maybe possible? But like I said, if I'm going to go against Forte, Rocket Can was kind of the only other one that popped up. I thought about Shadow Dragon. I like that 12-1 price. It was closing really well on the Holy Bull. But I think, as you said, the results of the Holy Bull maybe will leave a little bit to be desired as you watch the stretch run right here. Shadow Dragon is the 3 there on the outside trying to catch the gray. The gray 8, that's an angle horse players love, the gray 8. And that is Rocket Can winning the Holy Bull.
Yes, I was there also, and the race was kind of low, in the slow side. Imagine in that day, I remember Cyclone Mischief that ran before at Gosling, and I was there also when he won that allowance. He looked like a super beast, and then he ran like a claimer in the. That is the truth. He ran
Yeah,
like a claimer in the Holy Bull, and Rocket Canna and Shadow Dragon were closing, but the race was very slow. I was very disappointed, not only on Cyclone Mischief, also with the race in general was not the quality that I was expecting. And now you see these new contenders coming from the breeders, Mage also. So I think the race is going to be for them. That is what
yeah.
I really think.
Yep, and I think you could be accurate, which is all part of the reasons of me saying it's not many times I don't feel really comfortable with my ticket. This was one of those weeks I was like, this is really an ticket. So tread lightly, as they say.
No, but it's better. So I remember, I am an engineer, so I remember a very experienced engineer that told me it's not important to have the truth. What is important is to have consistency.
Yeah,
If you are following your consistency, your the methodology, that is what you need to do. If you fail, well, you did your best.
that's right. That's right. I work very closely with engineering in my day job in television, so I
Oh
understand
my God.
certainly that mentality of kind of how you need to be thinking, and hopefully we will continue that way. So Alfredo goes 1, 2, 6, 10, 12 with the 4, 6, 7. This is for Saturday, March 4th, the Gulfstream Late Daily Double. That'll cost you $15. I decided to go 1, 7, 10 with the 7, 8, leaving Forte off my ticket, which will probably be a mistake, but we will see. Where can we find your content, Alfredo?
Well, I have my own brand that is a Video Hípico, but I am part of the Spanish broadcast, as I said before, is Hípica TV. Is a very strong broadcast currently. Is the most popular in after the Japan Racing Association. This Hípica TV is the second one in the world. So I really recommend you to follow us. We are broadcasting Goshen Park, Laurel Park, Golden Field, at Santa Anita Park every week.
Yeah, it's great content there. It's a very intriguing sport within the Spanish-speaking community, right? It's very popular.
Yes, it's very popular.
That's good. That's good.
I think I know that you maybe are not you will not understand the Spanish of the broadcast, but I think you can deserve a shot to watch it.
Oh, I have watched it because there's one track that I can't get the replays in English, so I do watch. I don't know if that's it may be Gulfstream, which the only ones I can find are the Spanish speaking ones, and I love the energy and I love the excitement in watching the race. And I've took many years of Spanish, so I can understand more than you probably think, but I can't speak it. My speaking is very weak. So I do enjoy, and I encourage others to do that as well. Thanks so much for doing this week. Hopefully we have an overlapping ticket. I always love when both of us can win, and hopefully that's what will happen this week. Stay tuned to Trust the Profits YouTube page. We have plenty of content. Matt DeSantis is doing capping the card at Gulfstream Park. He'll give you a top pick and a value play for every single race. Until next time, have a great day.